and clean, right? Allowed them to go into that area, would not allow the people to leave, and they killed people. A lot of Palestinians died, and these were innocent civilians.
Okay. Once again, Lebanon was in a civil war, and the Muslims were massacring the Christians and ejecting them. To this day, the number of Christians in the region is vanishingly small. Remember, it used to be that everybody was Christian in the region. They came 700 years before the influx of Islam. Islam didn't exist when that area became Christian. Christianity spread. Some of the Roman emperors even spread it, like Constantine. So there's a civil war going on in Lebanon, and the PLO, which has no business being there, they're a Palestinian terror organization. They hijack airplanes, cruise liners. They go to the Olympics and slaughter athletes. They're a terror organization. They're there, ensconced, and the Christians are fighting them. So yes, Israel took the side of the Christians in that war. But it didn't necessarily help. Now it's getting better. Now in Lebanon, with the Israel having wiped out Nasrallah, who was the head of the terrorists, Hezbollah, now Israel has a good relationship with Lebanon, and it looks like they'll join the Abraham Accords. But what's going to happen now, I think, is there's going to be regional peace based on the Abraham Accords. Yeah. In fact, the Palestinians of Hebron just reached out. They want to be part of the Abraham Accords. They're sick of the PLO. I'm sorry, the Palestinian Authority, which grew out of the PLO. So yes, I think what Ariel Sharon did by turning his back on and not managing the war between the Christians and the Muslims, I think he bears some responsibility for looking the other way when the Christians retaliated by slaughtering Muslims. But this obviously was ongoing for decades, and it destroyed Lebanon, which remains destroyed to this day because of the civil war. It has to do with the Iranian Shia and Hezbollah taking over Lebanon as a conquering power.
Yeah, but during that time, Lebanon always had like one Christian and one Muslim ruling, right? Because of some agreement that was made, like World War II or some shit, right?
Yeah, they did try to do that. As when France decolonized it.
And it was like, it was a must. It must be Christian, and then it must be Muslim, right?
Yeah, but the Muslims slaughtered the Christians and got them out of there. And they did that in Syria.
There was more than just that. It was like Muslims growing, and they were growing because obviously they were the poorer people, and they were having all these...
No, they were growing because they expelled the Christians and slaughtered them.
Yeah, they were having a bunch of kids.
Well, everybody has kids.
Yeah, but they were having a bunch of... Just like they were having children and the children there.
That's not why the Christians fled. They fled because of the Civil War. As they did in Syria. There's 7 million Syrian refugees, by the way. 7 million. Spread all over Europe and the Middle East and Turkey.
Can somebody else speak?
Well, so just
let's let Philip rock, please.
Yeah, please. After seeing.
Yeah, so I just had one quick thing to say. So, Sue, I don't know if you're fully charitable with Norm when you're picking him apart over the we thing, because Americans say we statements all the time, and we're not talking about every American. So, I don't know if it's reasonable to think that when someone's saying we, they literally mean 100% of people. So
well, we're talking about Americans.
I thought that might have been...
You're cutting off. You're in the matrix, brother.
Okay.
But we're talking about Americans.
No, I really perfectly. Ironically, I mean, really perfectly.
Let's let Emperor speak.
No, the we statement, but the we statement was coming from, let's say, for example, I said something about this happened, and he said, well, we, and he's talking about him and Israel appreciate Americans. And I'm like, yo, you're American.
Right. Exactly. CEO, he came in kind of late.
Well, he has 2 we's, though, right? Doesn't he have dual we's? Like, we're black and American? Like,
no. He's not Israeli, though. He's Jewish.
Right. Israel is the Jewish nation. Israel is the Jewish nation.
Can we get to Emperor's question? Because I think that was a little bit more.
Well, why do you want to control the stage there, Emperor?
I'm just asking. Can I ask?
You both want to control the stage.
emperor. Or, I'm not calling you that.
Philip, I don't want to control the status.
He is an emperor.
Well, CEO, you finished with your statement, CEO?
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
He doesn't need to do it.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Hey, Philip. Salam alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. So, yeah, I mean, on the previous conversation, I think the Israeli accountability is a little bit minimized in Sabra and Shatili in this discussion, right? Israel was the occupying power at the time. The Phalangist militia was an Israeli ally. Its entry into Sabra and Shatili was coordinated, authorized, and by the Israeli military personnel, right? What the leaders knew at the time, what they didn't know, is a different question. There was the Khan Commission that did find failure to prevent it. And as an occupying power, it was an Israeli responsibility to protect those civilians, which it failed to do. It's also considered by a UN Commission and others, and even some Israelis after this, that Phalangists did, what they did there was a genocide. And the Israeli accountability is failure to prevent genocide. I think they rightly took some of that responsibility. Today, they probably wouldn't do that, but that's my comment.
Hey, Christians slaughtered Muslims. Eventually, the Christians were all slaughtered, and in retaliation, Israel should have done more to prevent that. I mean, that's what I said, and I think that's fair.
Go ahead, Omar.
Oh, nah, hey, good morning, everybody. What's going on, Patty, all the mods? Hey, Norm, I understand you guys, understand you guys are fighting for your lives out there, you little tiny Israel. But one thing I do, because you guys are using my tax dollars, I think everybody on stage tax dollars, even in the goo. I need y'all to finish this, man. Y'all got to finish what you're doing there. We know nobody wants a genocide. Build that land back up for Palestinian people, and finish this, man. Nobody wants no war. Can you agree on that at least, El Normo? Can we agree on that?
Nobody wants war, but if you don't remove people who are committed to committing genocide,
and you are making the circumstances for more people to die. So at some point, when you have heavily armed genocidal enemy on your border, you have to take away their weapons, and I think that's what Israel is doing. And hopefully this Abraham Accord will lead to widespread peace. I mean, we've heard this before, but the Abraham Accords with UAE and Bahrain and Morocco and Sudan, those accords are holding. The peace with Egypt and Jordan, for the most part, is holding. Now we have Lebanon. Syria is going to join the Abraham Accords, at least it would like to. So we have a very, very transformed Middle East at the end of these 2 years of fighting.
Hey, Omar, let's just be careful when we tell some people to finish anything. Right, because
pause, Lonzo. Yo, what's going on here? Pause.
No, wait, what did I say?
You said finish. Anyway, you said finish, man. Pause.
No, I said let's just be careful before we tell anybody to finish anything. Because many people wanted Adolf to finish something too. So let's just be careful that these people don't respond the way Adolf did when he tried to finish a goal that he started.
Hey, but Lonzo, if we go by the 1988 covenant, right? Because we got to look at both sides. That Hamas covenant in 1988, they want all Jews off this earth, right?
What about
so
hold on.
And Christians, by the way.
Hold on. How can we, because we're not part of that land, right? How can we speak for them Israeli folks that another group wants them exterminated, right? So they have every right to defend themselves, Lonzo. How can we take that autonomy from them, that agency from them, bro?
What about the Likud charter? They want the Arabs off the earth also.
Oh no, there's nothing like that in there. That's a,
I never seen that. I never seen that.
It would never ever. In fact, Israel's Declaration of Independence. You better. Israel's Declaration of Independence guarantees rights for all citizens in Israel, Jew and non-Jew alike. That's our founding document, and that was the entire idea behind the creation of the State of Israel.
Do Islamic
You
Jews?
see,
I'm sorry. Do
all founding
Islamic
documents. He's Israeli. He's not.
Hold on, Sonny. Does the Islamic citizens of Israel have the same rights as
100%. 100% equal rights. Unlike the rights of any Jew in a Muslim area. Hang on, I'm still answering. Unlike any Jew in Muslim rule, under Muslim rule, Muslims in Israel, also people rejected from Muslim countries like the Baha'i, also Yazidis, also Samaritans, also Druzim Arabs who serve in the army boldly. Unlike the fact that there are Arabs on the Israeli Supreme Court and they have their own political party, equal rights for all in Israel is fundamental to the only parliamentary democracy in the region.
What about the right to return?
Okay, in 1988,
one at a time.
1988, Hamas covenant in the chat, y'all, to see that, man. Read that, man.
Thank you.
That's
Foul.
Norm, what about the right to return?
Okay, who does the right to return? Hang on, I hear your question. Who does the right to return pertain to, MJ?
Citizens of Israel.
No. Non-citizens. If you're a citizen of Israel, you don't need to return. You're there already.
Okay. So wouldn't it be descendants of Israel from antiquity?
Every Jew has a place in Israel. That means that the Arabs who are in Israel now have full and equal rights.
But do Arabs have the right to return?
Arabs who are not Israeli citizens? Those are rights to people outside of Israel. So yes, Israel has an immigration policy. Every country does. And many countries offer the right of return, including 7 countries in Africa. And many countries in Europe as well have a right of return to people who are a member of that national group. So, if you will, and it's hard for people to get, Israel.
Wait. His question was under Israeli law with Arabs, right? He's talking about like the Palestinian refugees. Do they have a right to return to their original home?
You said there's equal rights for all people in Israel.
It's a liar.
So you have different religions in Israel. How come people from those religious groups don't have the right to return if it is equal right? I'm done with this guy.
Yeah, and one has like democratic rule, the other has military rule, and treat people like second-class citizens. I mean, it's basically an apartheid state. That's what you actually people live in.
Hey, I want to hear from the Jewish.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. No, apartheid is a system of racial separation. We don't have that in Israel.
I want to hear from her.
And Arabs all have equal rights in Israel, as do Druzim and Baha'i, people who've been rejected from Arab countries.
So what is your nation state law? What is your nation state law? What is your nation state law when it comes to the right of return? What is it?
What is a nation state law? I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Like your nation law, what defines Israel as? So they call themselves a nation state of Jewish people. So what is it when it comes to the right of return? What is the right of return?
Every Jew in the world has a portion in Israel under God's law. And hang on, when I'm talking, don't just cut me off. Under God's law and under I apologize. Under God's law and under man's law, every Jew in the world has a place in Israel, has a right to return. It's a refuge for Jewish people outside of Israel. So America has certain laws that pertain to U.S. citizens outside of the United States, which is different than the rights of people who are living next door to them outside of the United States.
But in America, there's no religious group
That's
or
correct.
has more rights or different rights than any
Right.
other religious group.
Exactly.
That's why we're not just a religious group. The Jews are not just a
What
religious
it
group.
is, bud.
The idea of religion is something that was invented, millennia after. You might think of it as a European idea. It's a European notion of religion. The Jews are a nation,
That's
a
not
family, and a tribe. It is true. The Jews are a nation, a family, a tribe, with a founding document that is the Torah, with a language of prayer which is Hebrew, with a land which is the state of Israel, with our own calendar, our own holidays. It's its own nation. The Jews are our own nation.
Jews
We've
didn't
always
invent
had
that.
What is Israel's
I'm not
law?
saying we invented it.
Other white Jews didn't invent that either.
So,
Say again.
so what is the Israeli law saying when it comes to right of return?
So every
And who does it apply to? There you go.
every Jew in the world has a place in Israel. So it applies to every Jew in the world.
Not apply to when it comes to descendants.
Say again.
Who doesn't it not apply to?
This is not a question of descendants. This is a question of identity. If you are a Jew, you are part of the Jewish nation.
Where's the Jewish lady? Where's the Jewish lady? So she can go to that real quick.
Say that again.
But look, I mean,
Wait, hang on. I want to ask a question about the DNA.
hold on.
Now, hang on, Lonzo. There's a question.
So look, there is like.
Sorry, what was the question about the diaspora?
There is
There's a question before.
Mute.
What was the question before you about the diaspora?
Yo, shut up. Hey, Patty.
No, don't talk to me that way. What was the question before?
Good. He'll be back, yo. They do have a territory, right? It's called the Autonomous Oblast, right? The Autonomous Oblast is actually 2 or 3 times the size of Israel. This was given to them by the Russians a long time ago, right? And many rabbis called it the homeland for Jews since 1924. The homeland for Jews since 1924. His ancestors called it their homeland, right? 2 to 3 times the size of Israel. Would have to kill no Arabs. Would have to make no Likud charters, which includes the rejection of a Palestinian state. The Likud officially opposes the establishment of the independent Palestine state west of the Jordan River. So basically, they don't even have to dehumanize a people group that lived there for centuries. Right? It's called the Autonomous Oblast. This is their homeland. This is what many of their people called their homeland for a long time. What we have here is what many people will call greed. You have 3 times the size of your quote-unquote listen in Israel. The first 20 minutes that's available for you. Now, the question is, are you trying to connect that to Russia? You have a homeland. So the very notion that you don't have a homeland, that's a lie. You have what many people will call a state. It's your autonomous zone where you can do anything that you want to do. The Autonomous Oblast. Fabulous. Actually, this is before the genocide of the Holocaust. So that's why he wanted me to say it, because he understands that I understand.
Well, he wasn't being very honest. He didn't answer the question.
He was lying, but I mean, he's a Zionist. Comes second nature to him.
Damn, who kicked the content out, man?
No, just, to the good. I promise you'll be back.
Damn, what's the content? Who kicked the content?
No. He'll be back. That's what he does. He throws a tantrum because he feels like because he's a Zionist, he got to speak over anybody. Doesn't matter.
Morning, Hadar. How are you? Do you want to?
Good morning, everybody. No, what I was gonna say is, I think
there's one group of people that are always left out in this conversation, and that is black people both in the West Bank and in Israel. They're suffering, their plight, their oppression. That's always forgotten, right? They're both oppressed. They're both oppressed by the Jews and the Arabs. So I think that's one thing that always forgotten, right? The Arabs in Palestine, especially in Ramallah. There was a documentary made by TRT, the Turkish channel, I think like a few years back, and they talk about how these people are not even second-class citizens, but third-class citizens, right? And these are black people that lived there for thousands of years. So I think when most people that are talking on this platform are black, it's my understanding, right? And I think that's always forgotten, right? As far as I'm concerned, I have no dog in this fight. I could care less about both the Arabs and the Israelis, or whatever you call them, Jews. As far as I'm concerned, they're from one one origin. So that's them, right? Let them sort the problem out. But I think that we also need to not forget about the other people that are being oppressed by both of them. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, and remember, like, we were getting gaslit the whole time when they kept on saying from the river to the sea, Palestinians will be free. That was like a response mechanism because they have their own version, you know. And I believe it's between the sea and the river Jordan, only Israel's sovereignty will exist. Right? So this is literally them saying from this sea to the river Jordan, this is us. This is our land. So the Palestinians came up with their own way of saying something similar.
Well, also, I have to disagree with you a little bit, though, right? Look, this land has changed hands for thousands of years, right? It was ruled by different groups, right? So everybody was occupying it at a given time, right? So now it's occupied by Israelis and Jews, right? And they have the bigger guns, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, but was there genocides? Were there genocides when the hands changed?
Well, they've been so. If we talk about genocides, there've been genocides happening here for.
No, I'm talking about Israel. Israel.
Well, look, the genocide has been happening there for thousands of years, man. The Romans have been carrying out genocide. The Canaanites carried out the Philistines, the original Philistines.
Where's your proof?
The Ptolemaic, the Greeks. Everybody carried out genocide in this land.
Yeah, but where's your proof for genocides?
There have been genocides everywhere in the world, man. There's been genocides everywhere.
No, I'm asking a question. Where's your proof of the genocides handed by those people? For all we know, these could be the descendants of the Canaanites.
Well, I mean, look, they're historical facts, right? They're historical facts.
If these people were the descendants of the Canaanites, wouldn't that make it their land before the Jews anyway?
I don't know who the Canaanites. I don't think the Jews were part of or the Arabs or the Semites were part of the Canaanites.
No, this is before the Jews touched that soil.
I mean, look, this area is cursed, man. It's been nothing but wars. Okay.
There's no area that's cursed, bro. That's make believe. That's imaginary. That's fairy tales. There's no area that's cursed, bro.
Well, how do you explain the poverty? Okay, look, how do you explain the poverty in Africa then? A continent with so much abundance of resources, with the people there.
I'm actually in Africa. I'll tell you what. There's no poverty in Africa. There's poor man.
Stop lying. There's people going to Libya being slaves. Why are they sleeping in countries in Nigeria?
Okay, well then I'll explain that about the slave. I'll explain it to you.
Tell the truth. I know African people don't like the truth.
No. Let me.
People don't like reality.
Do not interrupt me, okay? Do not interrupt me. So
I've lived in Africa for 15 years. I've lived in Africa for 15 years in Kenya, Uganda.
Well, I'm in there right now, but I'm there right now. Let me tell you something.
You're a politician. You're on the government.
It is there for you, but I'm actually here. Let me tell you something. Let me say this real quick. The young people that are going to Libya were actually they were trafficked.
Hello, good morning, everyone. So you finally exposed that beautiful Dutch.
You're white. It's not Dutch, Swedish.
Swedish.
I'm Dutch.
Who's Swedish?
You.
Yeah, I'm Swedish. What?
You think
Yeah, I'm exposed. Yeah, I'm exposed. Who is this? Congress.
You can't
This is
use
your Kitover. Oh my God, John Kitover.
John Kitover, your future husband and lover, is in the house.
Oh my God, I can't believe. Where have you been?
Please don't talk about my secretly hiding in your lips. I started a lip filler injection company.
What's coming up? I'm screaming.
Oh, watch out. This thing's about to go to IKEA, fucking work on the screen. Watch out. Here comes the modern Nordic man. Here he comes. Just got done working on the metro for 8 hours. Why do you come to my house? Why do you come to my house and sit on my couch with girls for 5 minutes and we eat home reindeer ass? Like, shut up. Talk to me when you're Somali. I'll see you in 5 minutes. Why don't you go play Word Simulator?
Wait, who's Angelo? He's funny though.
He's amazing.
I didn't admit.
Guys sitting on this IKEA sofa. I don't even know what he's saying. Where's the
Why are people dissing IKEA? IKEA is so good.
I like IKEA too.
What does Swedish chef do here?
I love IKEA. You know, IKEA, even rich people should go to IKEA and buy furniture from IKEA.
No, girl, you're going to farmhouse.
No, you go to IKEA.
IKEA is actually good.
Yeah, it is.
No, you're going too far. IKEA is for poor people like me.
IKEA is not for poor people.
It is for poor people.
Have you seen? Yeah, exactly. Even Zlatan
Rich people will never buy from IKEA.
Yeah, Polly, Zlatan then.
Come on, IKEA fucking wood is so ugly. If I was rich, do you think I'm gonna buy plastic? No, I would buy.
Okay, can I ask you something? You know when you can buy a kitchen, have you seen the kitchen in IKEA, how good they are?
Oh my God.
But
You're not gonna buy.
he's like, go ahead, do what you need.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be this.
No, I think you're rich.
That
Why
was
not?
his first term.
You're not an actual
Was it
modern
checking his name
single.
on stuff?
You
No,
don't
he
get
was talking
that.
to, he was talking to
Actually,
DeSantis.
what's the one
Yeah,
thing?
basically some emergency
Huh?
happened, and Trump's like, look, you go ahead immediately, you have all the resources available, and there's
Maybe it's
something
the
about
Netherlands gonna
retroactively
be really well.
signing the paperwork.
Well, we
He's
have
like,
that
forget
too,
red
but I
tape,
think
equal
I
lives
don't
in
know.
danger. You have all the resources available. We'll, basically, we'll take care of everything
No,
on the back
I don't think
in
rich
regular
people will
business.
buy it.
So,
Yeah,
and
it's
by the
just
fact
for
that the
middle
next
class
turn
people.
immediately
Okay,
was
Zlatan
employed,
Ibrahimovic
it
is
doesn't matter that it took longer to like declare funding and help was already rolling out. Anyways, just to say, so no, that's the biggest point. The absence of the federal government helping means all that money will be more distributed to the states. Just like education, that was the same false dichotomy. When they're like, oh, education, they're getting rid of the Department of Education, they're slashing all this money, kids are going to be ignorant. Your kids are already ignorant. That's because the federal government is running it. So if you instead give all that money instead of the federal government allocating it, you say, here, state, here's $1 billion for education. We don't know how to spend it. You are closer to the ground, a government of the people, by the people, for the people. You know how to better spend this money in your state than we do. Same amount of money, arguably more, because it's not going fund towards the federal government. Okay, let's wrap this up. I got maybe 10, 15 more minutes tops. Mike, thoughts?
Okay, so then where does it stop? And what I mean by that is like where does when you talk about basic protection, where does that stop?
We can look it up. I
like this basic protection because like in my mind, budget furniture, and this is where like we will obviously diverge further. Like I guess I have to ask you somewhat of a rhetorical question because I think I know your answer to this. Do you believe that healthcare is a human right?
No, and it's not because I'm uncompassionate or political stance. It's demonstrably, it's not a human right. If it's right, so would have it. So it's not political.
Well, yours is one of the only countries in don't think that now that the federal or the state government has the responsibility to provide any degree of health care to individuals?
Hang on, someone you can let's do this and then I'll get to John. Sorry, John, I forgot about you, but yeah, let's answer this. Say that, okay. So say that again, Professor Hank, last part.
Do you think either? Because it doesn't seem like you think the federal government would have the responsibility. Does the state government have any responsibility to provide health care to an individual?
No, they don't.
And can I just say something? It seems like the crux of your argument is you're trying to catch us in a hypocrisy moment. Whether or not you are, that's what I see, and that's fine.
No, I'm just asking questions. No, I mean, I have the glory of being able to look at this from the outside, and it's like, I mean, it's almost humorously perplexing to me.
Well,
so I'm just asking questions, honestly.
No, it's fine. I mean, I don't care. I didn't mean that as a bad thing. You're good people, and it doesn't mean we're unqualified because we live in it. We have more of a state, we have more vested interest in knowing what's going on. So we reconcile this with, one, what are the minimum requirements? What was the original? Doesn't mean it's good or bad. Let's just say, what did the original Constitution say? I think it's like Article or 10th Amendment. I'll get to it in a second. But what's the minimum responsibilities the inception of the federal government had? Let's start there, and then it's other people and people for the people, right? So at some point, you're supposed to, right, no taxation without representation. I think they become bloated, and we are not represented adequately. So, if we're going to have other people by the people for the people, right, but then you reconcile that with it's carved in stone. The federal government has certain obligations they must do. So you reconcile those two things. And over time, it's become bloated, and I think through bad rulings, bad Supreme Court decisions, bad legislation, people being compromised, people being greedy, they voted things in like 10,000-page omnibus bills. And we've got a lot of stuff that we are not adequately represented in. The constituents did not adequately have a say in. People should have been recalled and didn't know about it. They buried things that outlasted any ability, even the Congress people's terms in office. So by the time people's double dealings came to light, they were dead and gone in many cases. So we were just stuck with it. There was no recourse. People wouldn't overturn things. So we have a myriad of issues. We can't just say, okay, of the people, by the people, federal government can only do this. Oh, so you don't want water. We have to reconcile everything that originally was set up versus where we are now. And so, if we have proper representation in government and are represented properly, the will of the person is expressed. Not that we elect people and then they do everything they promise not to do. We should recall them. And if that can be done, we don't have adequate representation. So that's kind of the stages. That's kind of like the ping pong bumpers we're working between, reconciling all of this. And by the way, like, in the Wild West, there was no health care, there was no protection. I mean, that was one of the things, which is why the government came in and slaughtered tons of Indians. You can say sometimes they were being attacked and it was prevention, other times it was completely uncalled. But still, their protection, their obligations, it was very sparse in fulfilling their obligations. There were no hospitals on the frontier plains, so the fact that we have the luxury of that now, it comes with a lot of stuff that wasn't wanted, wasn't needed. Some stuff is nice to have, like chemo, right, for cancer people, or other drugs, surgeries. But that's where we are. So those are the basic parameters. Let's see. Constitution strictly limits the federal government powers, Article 1, Section 8, such as defense, coinage. Yeah, coinage, interstate commerce. Is that it? Those three things? Is that all? I thought there was a little more than that. Okay, over time, it's expanded into loose interpretations. With versus Kitover. Yeah, like that's what I was talking about, like Supreme or like court stuff. No one asked for. Or went away from 16th Amendment to income tax. Didn't have it before, didn't need it before. Tariffs paid our way. Trump's tariffs aren't going to work. We've already taken in $20 billion, and I think someone just said this since that it's taking $108 billion.
Hi, this is John. Yes.
Okay. In order to process this application, I need to complete with you a telephonic interview with you. This might take from 30 minutes to 1 hour. Do you have the time right now?
Yeah. Yes.
All right, perfect. So before I start with the questions, I have to read your rights and responsibilities for the benefits that you are applying for. If you have any questions while I'm reading this, let me know.
Okay.
You have the right to file an appeal if you disagree with decisions made on your application and other actions taken on your case. Illinois Department of Human Services, or IDHS, will not discriminate and will treat all applicants and recipients of IDHS program benefits and services with dignity and respect. Some programs require a social security number for every member of your household applying for assistance. IDHS might have the right to place a lien on your home or other real estate property that you own. Decide if you qualify for assistance, IDHS use information provided as well as information from other sources. By agreeing to all the information under the penalty of perjury, you certify that your answers to the questions in this application are true and correct to the best of your knowledge.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to start with the interview. First, I want to confirm is your phone number, the one I'm calling 312-498-0517. That's the only phone number that you have for us to call you?
Yes.
Okay. And then are you still living in the address 5562 West Edmonds, Chicago, Illinois 60630?
Yes.
Are you currently living alone or with somebody else?
Yes, alone.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Now I'll confirm with you, you're applying only for full benefits, medical benefits starting from July 1st until next year, and cash benefits. Is that correct?
Yes.
Alright. Give me 1 second. Okay. Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes.
Would you like to register to vote?
No. I'm already registered.
Have you received benefits from another state?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. What is your current marital status?
Single. Never married.
Single, never married. Okay. Are you filing taxes this year or next year?
Yes.
Do you claim anybody as dependents or minors?
No.
Are you currently enrolled in higher education?
No.
What is your highest level of education?
4 years undergrad.
a bachelor's degree?
Bachelor.
For your resources, do you have a vehicle?
Yes.
What is the make, model, and year?
That the U.S. and Israel take, and the European Union take over.
No,
They're gonna take over your land, bro. And they have the bigger guns, so I'm sure you're for it right here.
Well, European time in Africa is overdue. The French got kicked out, and the rest are following.
Yeah,
right?
but they got the bigger guns.
Now, we're not talking
about
about European as a people. We're talking about European as institutions, governments, companies. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, and they're coming. They have the bigger guns. How do you feel about that?
I'm not concerned with that.
Why aren't you concerned with that? They have the bigger guns.
I like you got to separate between people. Yeah, you got to separate between government institutions.
I'm talking about the European Union
and the extraction of resources. You got to separate between that.
I'm talking about the military. Yeah. Well, no, not China in a sense, right? I'm talking about literally this.
China is welcome.
No, harder. No. Because you're gonna give them a chance to dance around it. The European Union have the bigger gun. And what many European Union leaders are saying is that Africa is the new hotbed for terrorism, right? They have the bigger gun, right? So should you now concede your land, your space, because the bigger gun is coming to quote unquote gentrify Africa?
Well, Lawrence, I don't know how much you follow in the current political dynamic in the continent.
A lot.
Okay, so if that's the case, then you're probably following things that are happening in the Sahel in West Africa. You follow things that are happening in
East Africa also.
Well, there's not much going on. You talk about
there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, right? Because we know, right, that many people say that in places like Somalia and Eritrea, that they have to, they wanna, slow down this extreme quote unquote terrorism problem, right? And part of that is when they start to slow down or curve that, when they start coming in, they expect that these quote unquote terrorism cells are going to start to move to different countries, like, right? They expect them to start moving to places like Kenya, Ethiopia, Uganda, right? So when these things, give me 1 second, brother. When these quote unquote terror cells start moving to different countries, there's gonna have to be a force that stays in those countries to make it a buffer zone, make it to like, where they can't come back, right? Some people like Eric Prince call for another recolonization of Africa. Are you familiar with Eric Prince?
Yeah, but like legally they can't do that. Like I get what you're saying. But legally they don't have a right to expand this sovereignty. That's just not.
Well, Israel doesn't either, but they're still doing it.
Right, but yeah, but I don't know. I think this is like a gross exaggeration.
Like, there's something called the Greater Israel, right? Where they want many Arab countries to be theirs, right? This is what they believe that their quote-unquote Moshiach has for them, right? And it sounds like, like hoopla. It sounds like impossible. But many, Israelis and Jewish people alike all over the world want that to be true. It's called the Greater Israel. And they're literally advocating for it. Like, even parts of the Likud, template is basically saying that, this is, Judea and Samaria. They're saying that, hey, they want all these regions.
Yeah, but look, every human has a desire to go back to the historic, lands, right? The Greater Israel, from my understanding, extends all the way to northern Sudan. No.
How many of those people have nuclear weapons?
Look, here's the way I look at it, right? Now, if Greater Israel extends all the way to the Nile, right, they just live north of Sudan, right? Egypt all the way to
you're okay with that?
The way I look at it is, if they can go back to their own land by force, I say, hey, you know what? Whoever has a bigger gun, take it. That's what's been happening.
And
that's been broken. So he's just broken. Okay.
And that's the reason I say that foreign countries not being America. Because y'all bringing this ideology, I call this the caveman ideology and different things like that. While we're civilized, y'all want to have everybody like y'all killing each other and then take over the land, pillage it. Like, man, the hell y'all doing? The hell, like, hey, I wish y'all people could stay on the outside of the country, stay on the outside of the world, and do that to each other. I used to love watching that on CNN and hearing that shit on in the newspapers and stuff like that. Not actually hearing the shit, because boy, y'all be seeing the most wildest shit. Like, y'all really think this shit is okay?
Hear themselves. It's so crazy. They can't even get out of themselves to just kind of listen to what they're attempting to say. They're almost making it okay for a little bit of colonization. They're making it okay for a little bit of genocide. Just finish the job. You know what I mean?
Not only that, if which I don't believe they're gonna be capable of doing, looking at the IDF, what I call the PDF, the Israeli Diaper Force, they want to conquer so much more. Who actually believes they're gonna stop if they ever get to the point of conquering and having this Greater Israel? This is already not, I'm sorry, I have to make that, it's fine, the only force in the world wearing diapers. And then Lonzo played that clip the other day where Benjamin Netanyahu was talking about words of the effect of liberating the people in Africa. Like, what? They already have plans to do whatever next satanic event to the Africans. And I'm like, y'all believe this is it, like the Greater Israel, and they're like no longer gonna try to expand from there on?
And do y'all remember a time when we used to always just watch TV and be like, damn, the world is crazy, while we sitting there going about to go bowling or something, or go skating or some shit like that? And it's like, now you understand, like, why these people are fucking crazy. It's like, bro, this is not normal. It's like, y'all, people are okay with anything as long as it's not happening to them. Once it starts happening to them, they're like, well, feel sorry for me. No, you're advocating for it. your homeland where you grew up at, or where your ancestors is from, it's not there no more. It's surrounded by whoever just wanted that land. Well, that's the price it goes. No, it does not. Sorry. It's like it used to be, but y'all advocating for it now, and y'all open up the doors for things that you don't even understand yourself. Until it's you on the front line, then you gonna be saying something. Until then, like, y'all just, I don't know. It's feeling weird.
What's sad is some of these people are just so smart, like, you know, on other topics, you know what I mean? When it comes to like certain topics, they're just like, you know, less smart, you know what I'm saying? Like just being polite, you know? And it's like so infuriating sometimes because it's like, man, like, but I've heard you say so many bright things. Like, how could you like, you know, like, how could you say something like so insane? You know what I mean?
Lonzo, you know what it is? Somebody could be book smart and still be dumb as hell when it comes to logical thinking. Me, I'm book smart. I think I can read some Bible. You feel me? Logic, I look, I'm on point with logic. You feel me? And that's the difference. A person can have a debate with you about the 1940s and 1800s and blah, 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 but let's talk to them about logical conversations. Things that actually make sense.
But they try to justify why other countries should drop nukes on other countries in 2025 based off of us dropping, or America dropping nukes on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, or the French dropping a nuclear bomb on they dropped a nuclear bomb on Algeria back in the day. Right? So this is why many people feel like it's okay to drop nukes. It's been done before.
Yeah, nobody's dropping nukes.
That's some wild shit. That's some wild shit.
Wait, Patty, didn't we have like a senator or congressman kind of like suggest or kind of allude to dropping nukes on Palestine? Or was it the Persians?
Huh?
Like, wasn't there like a senator that kind of, you know, alluded to dropping nukes on one of those countries in the Middle East? Was it the Palestinians or was it
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway?
Yeah, it was like an American senator that basically suggested it.
Yeah, but I don't think he was being serious. It was a stupid conversation. You're talking about from Meet the Press, right? He was on Meet the Press.
Yeah, they actually brought him on Meet the Press because of that, yeah.
We had the amazing Victoria on stage. She's gonna justify genocide. Go ahead, Victoria.
Oh, I'm all ears. I got my smoothie right now with a little hint of Hennessy in it.
Oh, she back down?
She out.
That's weaker than the idea.
No, let her get her views out. Let her get her views out. I never heard you talk.
She bounced. She's in the emergency bunker.
You know what it is? And Lonzo and anybody else that's listening, I'm starting to realize, if I'm not mistaken, like we was at a time where we were playing, the world was more like real stuff to each other, right? Then we got to a point where let's try to make everything kind of even out and political and more humane. And everyone knows, like on the sidelines, people were kind of like on bullshit, personal feelings, like, oh, kill them all, and blah, blah, blah. The people who's getting in charge today are running stuff off of personal feelings and opinion. They're not doing anything what is better for everybody. They care about their personal needs and wants and everything else like that. I mean, look at how they got the Marines in LA right now. Personal feelings, somebody would have said, put the Marines there. The government before would not would have, I don't know. I don't think they would have done that. But everything being ran off of personal emotions and not something that is more realistic.
Bro, you know what's interesting, man? Like, on different arguments or different discussions, I try to look at both sides, if there is a both sides to this, right? I try to look at both sides of the arguments, right? Just to make sure to keep myself in check, to make sure I'm not just like letting my emotions get the best of me, right? But when I hear from, you know, the folks that champion the opposite side, like this, say, of this argument, right? Those people that say things like finish the job, right? And then you ask them, what is the job? And then these people can't respond, and sometimes you might get a moment of truth, right? And they'll say something like, no, it's just content. It's content. I'm giving you guys content, right? There's just some people that, you know, if you give them a talking point, they're just going to stick to that talking point, even if they don't understand what that talking point means, or to them it's just content, right? So I don't want to say I don't respect those people, but it just makes it hard to respect those people because it's like you're talking about people's lives. You know what I mean? And I get it. The world isn't all cookies and cream. You know, there is no utopia that doesn't exist. But let's just be honest, man. Like, let it be clear. If you say if you really want a genocide, if you want these people erased from the face of the earth, just stand on it. So that way the world, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, our grandkids, our great-grandkids will probably be, you know, like replaying some of the things that we said on Clubhouse. And they'll know that that's what their grandparent or great-grandparent really felt. This is, because I'm telling y'all, everything we say now is going to be like either like a research study, is going to be like it's going to be public one day, right? And our kids, our grandkids, our great-grandkids are going to listen to some of our stances, right? I would say for the most part, I've been proud of like some of the things that I've said, and I can stand on them. You know, we're human, like we could all say something crazy every once in a while, but for the most part, I think my stance has been pretty principled, you know what I mean? And, you know, I just hope that you're okay with that. Like your grandkids, your great-grandkids are gonna listen to some of your stances, and will they be proud of you? Will they respect you in the future?
I mean, let's look at it now. How many we look at American history, right? How many people with grandparents are quiet? Hell, let's look at the 80-year-olds, 90-year-olds, and people that are 70 years old, different things like that. How many of them are quiet about the history? Because a lot of people did not, right at that time, did not stand on the good side of history that was going on here. And like I said, when we read the history books and everything else like that, like, damn, I wonder if anybody ever asked some of these old people, like, hey, yo, what was you doing? What was you doing during that time? Like, because I guarantee somebody's gonna lie and say, I was for the black people. I was for the human rights.
They're only quiet because no one asked them. That's the only way someone can be quiet.
That's true. Like, what's that dude named? The owner of the Cowboys stadium.
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones. He came out and was like, hey, at that time, different time. There's more people like Jerry Jones that have not got caught up.
That's crazy how the media just let that go, right?
Oh, God.
Yeah, man. Hey, Victoria, where do you stand on this?
Sorry, where do I stand on what?
On what's happening in the Middle East?
You mean the forced starvation of an entire group of people?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not I think that there's a reason the international court has decided that Netanyahu, who was already being protested by his own people, by the way, prior to the October 7th tragedy.
Why are you rolling your eyes at her? He asked her opinion. You don't want to hear her opinion, then wait. He asked it.
So you're clearly not in favor of what's happening to the Palestinians, right, Victoria?
Yeah, clearly not in favor of forced starvation of humans. I think that that's gross, and it's definitely against my, like, if you want to be righteous, you have to actually, like, have principles. And if you're willing to dismiss principles based on, oh, well, whatever the facts happen to be, then you are not principled. And go away. I don't care. I think that principles have to survive based on every different context that you can encounter. And this, if you look at this at any other direction, I just don't understand, like, how anyone would be able to say, oh yeah, this was good.
See, this is why, like, I want to hear so many different, views and opinions, because sometimes people make a mistake, right? They judge people maybe based on some of the rooms that they're in, right? Not knowing how they truly feel about certain things. And then too many other people come to a conclusion that this is how this person is without listening to that person.
Yeah, we know Victoria in here.
We must have her mind, I guess.
What? What's going on? Like, Vic, she's always spoken like that.
Well, then you might know her better than I do.
Yeah, she's been in this room since we started this house. She was in the house with us that we were in before. We've known Victoria for a minute.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Leonard.
So what would have been what's supposed to have been a proper response for October 2nd?
What? Huh?
What's supposed to have been the proper response for October 2nd?
What are you talking about?
He's talking
about like it is really
Listen, I don't want to hear what y'all are saying. I want to hear what he's saying. Let him speak for himself.
What else do you want me to say?
I want to know, like, when you're saying the response, what are you talking about?
Okay, so a terrorist organization comes into a country and kidnaps and kills a bunch of people. What does that said country supposed to do in response?
Okay, and did they not respond? Did they not respond?
Of course.
Does starving like innocent children, like they're literally like children that are being starved to death. Is that a proper or appropriate response? No. Starving isn't.
The terrorist organization is within the citizens, is within the population, so it's a slippery slope.
Slippery slope is like a really good way of just distracting from what is happening.
Right, and that's why I asked you the question, because I was just trying to figure out, based off of the conversation that we were having, like, what, how is that relevant to what we're talking about currently?
Because it sounds like you're trying to shame Israel for basically defending the country. I understand the initial.
So wait, when you say
one second.
No, but so you say when you are saying this, I haven't said anything. So please be specific with your speech. Exactly. Go ahead.
But I was saying, like, I understand the initial argument of, the Jews coming in, taking a bunch of land, steady moving towards their space and all that.
Patty, is that you bringing Water Boy up?
No. That
Okay,
must be loud.
Which one is Water Boy?
The one that has his hand up.
I got you. Good.
Hey, Leonard,
Let her finish.
oh, that finish. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, so I understand the initial argument of why Hamas went over there in the first place, you know, the gentrification and all that extra stuff. But I'm saying, like, okay, they're already founded, they're established, and then October 7th happened. What's the response?
The same way America did their response when they went over to Iraq and everything like that. The thing is, we didn't go over there and fight Iraq. We went there like in and actually pick and choose who we need to shoot and kill. Not say, hey, we're scared, let's drop a bomb and let's just kill everything. Well, I'm sorry, but America has more balls than the IDF.
America has more money and military power than anybody.
Okay, but again, it don't IDF has the biggest or the
Well, wait a minute. Why are you arguing that point, Tony? The point is simple. No one is saying that they did not have the right to defend themselves. I don't think anybody on this stage is saying that. Please raise your hand if you're saying that. Please raise your hand right now. Stand up and say that you are mad that Israel defended themselves. Go ahead. Who is it? Where are you? Who's saying that they
You might be like this turn like trying to hit. So today, July, what is it? 9th, 2025. There's still hostages over there. And you're trying to make these arguments like, are they doing this, they're doing that, but like
if you say you try to make this argument one more time while you talking, you're not on stage.
Come on, man, it's not this.
Can I answer? It is that serious, especially when you're involving my name, because I haven't said any of this.
I was just having a conversation with you. My fault.
And that's fine. You can have the conversation, but just be impeccable about your speech. I didn't say any of this. You can say when these people said this, when some of the people on stage said this, you can find a different way to communicate. But when you're talking to me and you're saying you said, that's a problem for me. I'm sorry. I'm going to be very technical.
Okay.
Understanding. Okay, I do. I say that Israel doesn't have right to defend itself because it's an occupation force and it's an illegal state and it shouldn't be there and it's by UN, but by all the human rights from 70 years, they doesn't have the right to stay there, and they doesn't have the right for apartheid state, and they doesn't have the right as an occupation force by the UN and by the human rights. They doesn't have the fucking right to defend themselves because the occupation force. Point.
Exactly. They're there.
Right, tell the rest of the world.
So what's next?
Okay, Emperor, I saw you come off mic and you wanted to join in, Emperor?
I'd like to answer Leonard's question specifically.
Sure, go ahead.
Leonard, you asked why are some people shaming, and my interpretation of that would be that the comment that Victoria made was specifically about forced starvation of population, right? So Israel is, on October 7, Hamas attacked Israel and some other combatants, right? So Israel has a right of self-defense against those people. However, it is starving, right? At this point, there is almost unanimous consensus on this, that it is using starvation as a weapon of war, and starvation is a collective punishment of people that are not only Hamas and militants that participated in October 7 and affiliated organizations, right, but civilians. So, yes, when a country pursues policies that are a violation of international law, like use of starvation as a weapon of warfare, they should be shamed, right? Because we don't want that to be normalized based on the experience, for example, of World War II. That would be my answer.
I totally agree with everything that you just said. My issue is, again, how did we get here? And it started long before the events of October. But since we're on the events of October, There are hostages that have not been returned. There are children that were killed. There's infants that have not been returned. They can't find or they have been killed. So with that being said, I think there's issue on both sides, and it's amazing to hear individuals wanting to shame a country for the way they conduct war. But you don't have anything to say when the big dogs, such as Russia, does what they do when they violate every treaty they've signed. That's just amazing to me.
You must have that.
Who are you speaking to? Jerry, were you responding to me? Because I don't know. Again, there is the usage of the word "you," and I'm gonna do what First Lady did, right?
Right. I'm not gonna play the grandstanding or anything like that. It was just a form of speech. Now, I was talking to you directly when I said I agree with everything you just said. So that part, I was talking to you directly. So make no mistake about that. But moving forward, no problem. But moving forward and talking about the events of October, that was just general speak.
I wanna just adjust something for him better, that in case that any group of immigrants come into your state or come into your country, and you receive them like folk from Europe that they've been massacred, they've been killed, and you receive them in your house, and you feed them, and you give them dress, and you give them some kind of dignity of human being. And when they come in with them ship, it was written on them ship, the European, they destroy our present. Please don't destroy our future. And we receive them, and we feed them, and we give them a place to stay. The day after, they get a gun, and they stay in my house, where I received them, where I feed them, and they tell me, if you try to get inside your house, you will be shot, you will be killed. If this happened to you in Arizona, in California, in anywhere, you were going to kill them. This didn't happen. The people the Israeli people that they arrived to Palestine in 30, and after all the First World War and Second World War, and they create terrorist group, and they blew up the King David Hotel, where is the delegation of British that they prepare to give Palestine to Israel. They blew it up, and the head of the terrorist group, that its name is Benjamin Ben-Gurion, he became the prime minister, the first prime minister woman that she was there, that her name is Golda Meir. She say, I be in Palestine, I had Palestine passport. All of the Israeli people that they arrive there and they create the state of Israel, they trade, they bite the hands that they feed them, they kill the people that they feed them. And there is thousands of video is showing Israeli old people that they've been there in the 30s and 40s, and how they laughing, how they run after Palestinian, how they kill the Palestinian, how they steal the Palestinian house. This land wasn't without population. This land, it's a land of Palestinian people. If you come to tell me you are anti-Semitic, I will tell you, man, you don't understand what's mean of Semitic. Semitic means the son of God. Correct?
Was this a response to me? You said I have something to say to Emperor, and you went off to what is happening in this room?
Talking about that happened, everything happened from 7th of October, but it's not, didn't happen from 7th of October.
I didn't say it only happened since, I addressed a specific point. You don't know my position on this issue.
Okay, my mistake.
Mm-hmm. Hey Jerry, what did you mean about grandstanding? You said I was grandstanding in the chat. Well, what does that mean? Clarify yourself, please. Mr. Jerry. Mr. Jerry, you there?
You're not going there.
Can I say something?
I'm sorry, I was getting out of the car. It was on Bluetooth. I was trying to speak, so I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I said, what was that statement about me grandstanding in the chat a couple minutes ago?
It sounded like that. It sounded like you were playing politics with words. So that's why I said what I said. Then I listened to, but wait a minute. But then I listened to what you said and how you clarified it, and you said that's just how I feel. So I have no dispute with that. But at first it sounded like grandstanding to me. So for whoever said that I'm not going to clarify myself, make no mistake about this. I'm not afraid of none of y'all. I will speak my mind.
I don't think nobody wants you to fear anyone.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate that because people are in this space recording. And when people are talking directly to me and they're saying you, I have a problem with that because I haven't said anything. If I'm asking point of clarification, then let's clarify things in that regard. That's how I communicate. But grandstanding and all that, I don't have to do that. I grandstand with just being who I am, right? So just like I wouldn't do that to you, I thought we had a mutual respect. So let's just keep it respectful between each other, okay?
After you explained it, like I said, after you explained it, I said she has a right to her feelings. So I got that enlightenment after you said what you said. So I just want to let you know where I came from. But I respect where you're coming from.
Okay, no worries.
What the hell is grandstanding?
Alright.
Can I get back to the conversation?
Please, please,
I wanted to respond to Asher.
Please, Philip, go ahead and get back to that conversation.
Yeah. On a broader point, people who make the argument that there is some confusion over who made that argument because it was back and forth. But if people hold the position that countries should not be shamed, right, for how they prosecute the war, that is the exact argument that the Nazi Germany used at Nuremberg trials, right? So people hold that position. Maybe they should rethink it because that's a Nazi defense at Nuremberg.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Ash told the whole story about the house and the movement and all that. I think like we kind of got to get over that point. It wasn't even like the English coming to take over the Native Americans. It wasn't even like that. It was literally like we gave them land. So it's like what if Native Americans just woke up one day and October 7th? You know, stupid.
So I'm asking the question numerous of times, Victoria, are you pro-Palestine or are you pro-Israel? I'm against starving people. No shit, Sherlock.
So why are you attacking her? Okay, so why are you addressing the question to her? Okay, so what was the addressing the question?
I've already addressed this question before, and I
you spoke about starvation.
Yeah,
okay, so what do you want from her? What do you want from her? What do you want from her? You want her to say that what it is? It's like you guys are.
I'm not pro anything. I'm pro human, and I just.
This is what I mean. So then you can say you're pro-Palestine if you're pro-human.
Yeah, I could
so why do you have such a hard time stating that?
Are you just trying to pick a fight?
I feel like
I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy that you don't want to say that you're pro.
No, I think you just want white-faced blame for something that you're frustrated that I'm giving you the answer that you want to hear, and you wanted to not hear that.
So if you're pro-humanity, right, you're obviously against genocide, apartheid, racism, colonizing, yada yada more. Why can you then not simply say, because we all know by now, I hope at least you know as well that this is an apartheid regime, sick, psychopathic, Satan worshiping.
I think what happened on October 7th was really fucked up.
Why don't you just say I'm pro-Palestine? Can you do that? Can you say I'm pro-Palestine?
She said she's pro-people.
Exactly my point.
She said she's
pro-people.
You're pro-people. What does that mean?
Yeah.
You're pro-people.
So I think, for example, like if you look at Palestine and you look at the individuals that are suffering, they didn't do anything wrong. They weren't the people that attacked the Israel individuals on October 7th. They are humans. They are just mothers. They are children. They are people that are trying to get by, and they don't have food. I don't think that starving people to death is righteous. I think that history will be the judge. Obviously, it's already happening before our eyes, and for people to ignore that, it's ridiculous. I just don't agree with that. I think that if you actually care about people, then you would care that there are people that literally are not able to get food or water.
Which side of the wall is suffering?
Victoria, don't answer him no more, please, because
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Because this is getting this is a ridiculous.
He's having to draw a line. It's stupid as hell. She said she's pro-human. She doesn't like it happened on October 7th. She doesn't like what's going on in Palestine and everything like that. So, bro, why is that not common sense for you? Somebody to draw a fucking line. It's fucking retarded. She told you what she is. She's pro-human. She just wants people dying. She doesn't want people starving, nothing like that. How hard is that to understand?
She's in the beginner of the road of the resistance. Later, she will figure it out slowly when she follows the history. She will figure it out that killing Palestinian, it's not only with starving, it's with a bomb, it's with breakings in bonds, it's with the stealings in house, it's with stealings in land, it's with dropping gas oil and cut the olive tree where they get food and bathroom.
Okay,
it's with
what I don't understand is why you ask a person a question and they answer the way that they have, and then you want to conclude something else. That's really weird to me. It's extremely weird to me.
That's what they do,
and just move on. What
because we are in the point of the history.
What can she do? What can that lady do? Do you expect her whiteness to be able to come and save everybody? So if she says that she's pro-Palestine, is that going to stop everything? And everything is just going to come back to life? Like, stop!
I think white woman tears on her.
Just crying for no reason.
So
I recognize when somebody is definitely moving towards the goal and trying to do something, but instead you don't want to recognize that. You just want to focus on what you want to focus on. You gotta stop that. That's crazy.
I personally think her attitude is good. I decide it's people that's losing their lives and she don't want neither one of them to lose their lives.
Period.
I don't understand what the problem is there. Y'all just wasn't on. Y'all want somebody to take sides because that's how y'all do. But that's not how everybody do. So just listen.
I think in terms of the deep conversation that we're having, to say that you're pro people in my job, I'm not on any side, so please, no side butcher me, please. But I believe saying that you're pro people is a little ignorant to the topic, not the fact that it's important, because it is important that people are not being starved. Just let me finish. Oh my God!
Y'all just want to argue.
They do just want to argue. Like, what
let me tell y'all where it's fucked up, right? She has a right to be pro-people because Hamas is full of shit. Hamas is full of shit. Hamas is full of shit. As well as Bibi. You got two governments that have been fucking their own people. You got
Patty.
Stop it. No, don't patty me, because I'll drop your ass and kick you out one. Don't patty me. She has a right to say she's pro-people, and I agree with her. It's better to be pro-people than to choose a side. Because Palestinians did not ask for this. Israeli people did not ask for their children to be fucking taken away and killed. They did not ask for this. The shit that happened between the governments or some of these extreme right fucking Israeli people and their extreme fucking Muslim population, that is not what the overall people want. They want fucking they want to be fine. That's it. That's it. Who the fuck is talking over me? Bob ass. Sit your ass in the goo. Leave her the fuck alone. She gave you the answer that she wanted. That she wanted to give you. What the fuck do you want from her? You think white people gonna solve your fucking problems? Victoria, ignore the shit. If this is your stance, that's your stance, and there's nothing wrong with your stance.
Here's something that people don't think about. There is nothing humane about war, no matter if you're dropping your bomb on, no matter if you're snipering. There's nothing humane about war.
Plus we got 10 active genocides in the world, right? We're now talking about Gaza, we got Sudan, we got Myanmar, we got Yemen, we got, to some extent, Ukrainian Russian villages being bombed and stopped by Ukrainian neo-Nazis. We got, what else? We got Congo and Eastern Congo. We got starvation over there. It's mass starvation. It's hunger. There's children dying there. So I think when we talk about this, when we talk about genocide, I think we need to kind of level the playing, right? We just cannot, we cannot be directed to just talk about Gaza. These genocides, there's human suffering everywhere, right? And I think that Victoria is actually correct. I think we should all be pro-him, and that's it. We should support humanity.
Yeah, I think Hater, I think the reason why you get, people get so much pushback about this one specifically, and they're all horrible, right? And everybody could hopefully agree to that, right? Is because in this instance, you have what many people perceive as the aggressor acting like the victim, right? So even if you look at the RSF and you see what they're doing to the Jinjuri people in Sudan, right? They're genociding those people. The RSF isn't saying that, hey, they're the victim. They're not crying that, hey, no, we have to because, they're forcing us to kill them, you don't have, that government, saying that, hey, no, they're making us kill them. I mean, even when you look at one of their prime ministers, what's her name? Golda Meir, right? I mean, she basically said that, hey, I feel bad that you made us kill your kids.
So the other day, I went to this
spot
that just opened up recently called Salt Hanks to try their French dip sandwich because people are saying that this might be the best sandwich in New York City right now. This is the owner and head chef, Hank, who only serves two things on the menu here. This French dip sandwich and these crispy little French fries, which are apparently so good that people are lining up outside before they even open. They start with this horseradish and garlic aioli that they put on these baguettes from their jet. They then slice this prime rib super thin, put it in this warm jus, and then onto the sandwich. It adds these super caramelized onions that have been cooked for like 7 hours, and then some provolone cheese. So the entire thing in the oven until it gets melted and toasted and looks like this. The sandwiches come served with a cup of this homemade jus that you can dip them in. And let me tell you something, I've had French dip sandwiches before. They're not one of my go-tos, but they are tasty. But man, this sandwich is different. That prime rib they're using is super tender. That horseradish and garlic, the caramelized onions, the bread. This is honestly one of the best sandwiches I've had in my entire life.
And they still live there. Right. So what's your problem?
And the Arabs did not get there until about what, the 7th century?
No, it was a fucking problem right here. Let me just say this, because I'm sick of this whole shit right here.
He's either Sudanese or he's Eritrean.
Can I correct?
He has a package problem with Arabs.
So before in the time of the Ottoman Empire, Palestine, it was always named Palestine. Was living under the Ottoman Empire in Palestine, Jew, Muslim, Christian. Don't forget that big land where is Jesus born is there. So all the religions they are there. So under the Ottoman Empire, it was living Christian, Muslim, Hebrew, atheist, people from everywhere. Palestine was the center where all the people were selling spicy and other production. It was, Palestine was very, very famous, and it looks like, how we can call it now, well, Singapore right now. Until the British, with the support of Egyptian military, they use the Egyptian military that they invade Egypt and they take Egypt under control. They create an army and they invade the Palestine and they destroy the Turkish army that was there and they take over Palestine. At this time, it's still Jewish, Muslim, Christian, atheists living in Palestine in peace, and you can go online and have a look how it looks like Palestine in 1930, 1920. You will figure out that it was Singapore of Mediterranean area. But after the colony and Balfour promise, what's happened? They decide to place the Zionists to control, and they weaponize a group of Ashkenazi Jews, they coming from Europe. They weaponize them and they start to take over, and they kick out in first Nakba 750,000 Palestinian people from their house and their land, and start everything from there to go. But I will remind you of something, that Muslim, they were in South Europe. They were controlling all the South Europe, Italy, Spain, all South Europe. And when the Muslims they lose a war against Christian and they were kicked out from South Europe, the Jew, they follow the Muslim, because the Jew, the real Jews, they feel better under government of Muslim people, and they feel safe with the Muslim people. Don't forget that in Jew, they were living in all North Africa and Arabic island before the British come in and dismantled the Ottoman Empire. If you don't believe what I just said, Google it and you will figure it out.
Hey, Ash, real quick question. What was the city before? You know where Baghdad is? It's in Iraq, right?
Yeah, Baghdad is the capital.
Okay. So I'm assuming because I asked this question to many Muslims and they don't know how to answer. What was the city in Baghdad before the occupied by the Ashab, the Umayyads, right? Not the Umayyads, but the Ashab, right? What was the name of the city in Baghdad? Well, what is? Okay, well, what is Tasiphon?
Another city.
No. It wasn't Babylon. It wasn't Babylon. You see, that's a problem.
It was a whole other province.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not the same city. Babyl's another city. Freaking Baghdad is a different city.
There you go. Okay, the city before Baghdad was called Tasiphon, right? It was called Tasiphon. It was well, now you say it right. Okay, it was Tasiphon. It was actually the headquarters or the capital city, like Washington D.C. is, or Rwanda, Angola, or London is, right? It was the capital city of the Persian Empire, right? Okay. Now the Arabs took over one morning and 6:30, slaughtered everybody, killed everybody, pillaged everybody, and so that's basically what happened. Is when we talk about history, we always talk about the lens of the occupier, right? So all the histories that you're telling us right now is the histories that you will talk, right? But in fairness,
that year that the Muslims they invaded Babylon, because Babylon it's written in history.
We're not talking about Babylon. We're talking about the Persian Empire.
Stop.
Can I say something real fast? I just want to say something real fast. This shit is out of control.
Yeah, I'm asking what
He said the Parthian Empire, right?
Yeah, it's the Persian Empire. Yeah, the
Better.
Sassanid Empire. Yeah.
But what year are you talking about, man? When you talk about
That was it. That was the first empire destroyed by the Muslims before the Byzantine. But go ahead.
Under Alexander the Great.
Alexander the Great, it's the Muslim religion wasn't appear at the time of Alexander the Great.
That's true. That wasn't there. Yes. But here's the thing, though, right? So at the end of the day, like I said before, and I'm going to be out of this topic completely. Whoever has a big gun, takes the land. If I have a big gun, I'll take somebody's land. If I have a big gun today, I will take somebody's land. I'm not telling you. I won't even blink an eye. I'll get my gun and I go take it. That's just the way it is, man. The humanity, that's the way we are. People, you look at Australia, you look at America, you look at so many places in the world. Even where I'm at right now in Africa, a lot of these people in Africa did not leave there. They migrated from another place in Africa.
So since World War II, the world has collectively decided that's not what we're going to do, right? That's why we have the UN Charter. Well, we can date it back to League of Nations, but League of Nations was a failure in that regard. But this is why territorial changes or demographic changes, right, are prohibited when they're done by force, right? Crime of aggression is prohibited by the UN Charter. Imperialism, as we have seen throughout history, is prohibited by the UN Charter. So perhaps, you can give me the realist interpretation that all of that doesn't matter and countries are going to take over countries, right? But since World War II, we haven't had a forced annexation that is widely recognized.
Russia?
Not one. Widely recognized.
Crimea.
I'm speaking. Russia, Crimean annexation is not widely recognized. Right? I made a specific statement. I said, since World War II, okay, prove me false that how many countries
Stop interrupting Philip. Because he be real polite.
How many countries, it's okay, he raised the challenge. How many countries recognize Crimea as part of Russia?
It'll be somebody asked about you now.
Jerry, how many countries recognize Crimea as part of Russia?
Just about every, as evidence of no one saying or doing or changing any politics with Russia. Just about every as evidence of nobody, and I mean no one, acting on that accordingly.
Give me proof.
I just did. I said no. Okay. All right.
How many countries recognize? There is a number associated with this question, right? So give me a number. How many countries recognize Crimea as part of Russia?
I said every as evidence of the way that they still deal with Russia. If you did not agree with Russia, no, I do. You just can't understand.
You're not answering my question. You can give me foreign ministry statements. You can give me a continuation of relationship is not evidence that they recognize Crimea as part of Russia. Right? You have to give me either a UN vote or foreign minister statement of recognition, exchange of ambassadors to Crimea as a type of recognition, right? Map redrawing in particular, give me evidence.
So, in regards to what you're saying, if I don't fool with you or if I don't recognize you, that means I don't have anything to do with you. If I have a protest against you, if I have a protest against your politics, I am not going to indulge with you in any circumstance. So your lack of, your unwillingness to do anything about it speaks volumes. So it's not so much about what's on pad and pencil, it's about your actions, what you're doing. I understand what you're saying. And in a court of law,
giving you a whole tough answer. Just answer the question.
I just did. You just don't understand.
Okay, yeah, you're right, because we don't speak
I'll
that
answer
language.
I'll answer it for
Talk
you.
about
So
facts.
7 countries have officially recognized Crimea as part of Russia. That includes Russia itself, Syria, Afghanistan, Cuba, Venezuela, North Korea, and Sudan. Right? Other countries still recognize Russia in the territory of Russia, excluding Crimea, and they still have relationship with Russia in the territory of international recognition of Russia, excluding Crimea. Right? So existence of a relationship or continuation of a relationship is not evidence of recognition of Crimea as part of Russia, because other countries have explicitly, right, have not recognized Crimea as part of Russia. They issued statements to that effect, right, that they do not recognize forced annexation and they respect the UN Charter. Like every time UN General Assembly votes, and every time UN Security Council votes, they reiterate their commitment to UN Charter, right? Which includes prohibition of forced annexation. And they issue specific statements if forced annexation happens to the effect that they do not recognize it, right? The countries that have recognized Crimea as part of Russia are listed. So back to my broader point, which is since World War II, I was answering to Haydar. I see you and Mike, give me a second. Is that since World War II we have decided that the history of imperialism, right, and forced annexation is not a good thing for the world. And since the invention of industrial revolution and everything else, there is other ways to make a better living for everyone other than taking it from somebody else, right? So everybody's invested in peace through UN Charter. So here we go. And again, no widely recognized forced annexation in the world since World War II. And I think we should kind of value that.
Okay, so let me respond to you real quick, please. So real quick, right? So the UN Charter was written in 1948, and a lot of African countries were under occupation, right, or still colonized by the several European countries until 1975. The Portuguese, I think, gave independence to Angola.
Get to your point, bro.
I'm going to get to the point. So the point, the argument he's making is, well, the UN Charter is completely non-existent. It's never existed, and it was only designed to kind of enforce a backdoor colonialism. That's basically what it was done to do that. Now, it's regarding Crimea, right? Well, Crimea was part of Russian Federation until 1954. Nikita Khrushchev, who was the ethnic Ukrainian, actually added it to Ukraine. Now it's back of Russia, and if we look at the facts of history, the Crimean Peninsula is not both Russian or Ukrainian. It's not Slavic territory. It's actually a Tatar land, right? Tatars are Turkic, they're not European Slavs, okay? So that's a fact. So then Crimea is now rightfully back to where it belongs, which is Russia. And that's why I stopped.
So why is it rightfully back to Russia? I don't understand where this rightfully shit come from.
Can we get back to his first statement that the UN Charter doesn't exist? What does that, is that a metaphor? Is that, what does non-exist? Because we all know UN Charter exists. People ratified it, right? People vote on it in Congress and parliaments across the world, right? So it does exist. It also a binding international treaty on states. What do you mean? On the history of decolonization, you're right that at the time there is still colonization at the time of adoption of UN Charter. However, occupation and forced annexation is not the same thing, right? My statement holds. Give me an example if you're arguing against this point, or accept it, right? I said there hasn't been a recognized, widely recognized forced annexation since World War II, end of World War II. That's what I said. So can you give me an example of widely recognized forced annexation since World War II?
Well, I mean, look, the United Nations issues resolutions every thousands of them, right? regarding Palestinian Israeli issues, regarding Myanmar, regarding so many places, and none of them work. Okay, the United Nations only works for France, right? The Britain and the United States. That's what the UN works for.
Do you have an argument against what I said, or are you talking about something different?
Well, the UN Charter never worked, so I'm not going to argue with that. Never worked. Yeah, at least I'm from the global south. I'm in Africa. So
I'm from global south, so.
I mean, then you're mostly, if you're from the global south, then you're mistakenly informed about the United Nations Charter. It's very unfortunate.
My claim was, since World War II, there hasn't been a widely recognized forced annexation. Do you dispute that point?
Deport them all.
Yes or no?
There are countries that actually expanded their territories, yes.
Which countries? Give me a forced annexation that is widely recognized since World War II. I didn't dispute that countries have expanded. I said their expansions haven't been recognized.
Well, I mean, look, if you talk about recognized expansion, or you talk about non-recognized expansion.
Look, my statement is really precise. Do you dispute it? Because if you don't, we just can move on to, let's say, your point.
I still waiting as well the parents that give me the date and I didn't give it to me. Just criminal accusation.
You're speaking to me?
Yes, I'm saying no. I'm talking about this discussion. Say
Yo, fuck boy, you want a donut? Hey, what are you doing? You know what? The boss. Get the boss out here. I'm not gonna wait. I'm not gonna wait. Don't make me wait like everybody else. That's what? Next you're gonna say Google me, right? Google me? You know who I am. Okay, so why are you making me stand here like a little peasant? I'm gonna make you stand in Europe. You stand like nobody knows you in Europe. I got you. Unless you're with your father, nobody knows you. I own Europe. You own Miami. Okay, you think you're Miami? I'm just Miami. If I don't get this stuff done in 1 minute, okay, I'm gonna call my time. And next time you're in Europe, you're not gonna get into the club. You're gonna be out of the
Do you have what do you think about truckers who use drugs to stay awake?
Yeah, nah, I don't mess with that stuff. That's not the way. I keep myself up with energy drinks.
What do you think about
Africa is doing an incredible job. I'm personally familiar with their Right, is that mom check?
How is the self-determination right now? Sometimes, right? China has territorial integrity over Tibet. It doesn't justify what they're doing in Tibet, but the United States has recognized Tibet as part of China. Every country, I don't think there is a country on earth, maybe one or two, that have recognized Tibet as an independent country. So, yeah, it wasn't an annexation from the perspective of international law. It was China reestablishing control of its own territory. The way Ukraine, let's say, if it takes over Crimea, retaking its own territory, right? From bad example, but if Crimea was under separation, rather than
Yeah, what do you want? Why are you there?
I don't want anything. I'm waiting for the Uber.
sure. Is it recognized? Because I can wait right here. It was theirs. Yeah. It wasn't theirs. Yeah. And that would have been an expansion. So. Yeah, it is. And the police are free too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, when you're talking to you, be more respectfully, okay? Yeah, I will be more respectful, but you're on private property, so you need to be respectful. I suggest you wait for Uber on the sidewalk. Oh, I don't have to do anything. Thank you. Have a good night. Yeah, well, I think we'll call 911.
I know, what little that I know, I feel that God is very disappointed that He created humans. It's different the world is lighting it up. Exactly. You're worried about a person that's not even doing anything. This is mine. These people are better than you. My religion is better than yours. It just, I know he just sits back and goes, why did I even develop this? Because they are an embarrassment to you. That's all I got right now. It's just hard.
They gave the money that struggling families in California need after the biggest disasters in the LA region to ICE.
No, you did not talk to me at my business. I do not see you today. I was not lying to you. You walked out. And you think I'm not going to follow you.
That country and these people and my God and my religion and I'm
this lady gets something at my business and she just walked out.
I'm saying I'm really embarrassed.
She's over here ordering pizza.
Children into this world. Thank you.
No.
Not you embarrassed. The children, Jesus.
What is that?
Real Chicagoans woke up this morning relieved that the Department of Justice is finally investigating your race hustle. As someone who grew up on the south side of Chicago, I've heard a lot of race hustlers in my life, trust me. They're usually marching around outside of City Hall.
His head is exploding.
Which is what makes this so embarrassing and dangerous. Very, very dangerous to the city of Chicago. I'm more than happy to ask.
Holy shit. This question, it's long overdue. For over a year, real Chicagoans, white and black, have been telling me that your black power rhetoric is bringing the city backwards from a place that it had overcome. You want the question? Real Chicagoans want to know, why are you a racist?
Well, first of all, I reject the idea, the premise that somehow that's an extra.
On this episode of Spilling Tea with
I didn't do anything wrong. You grabbed my ID. I asked for my ID back. You tried to say I tried to snatch it. I just asked for my ID back. I really put my hand out, and then I touched it. You snatched it back down. What did you say? It's all on your camera. And your camera wasn't trying to go see that I touched my ID. You snatched it down and tried to say, oh, you snatched me. Bitch, it's my shit. I didn't snatch shit, bro. I don't have no reason to snatch for nobody. Fuck, bitch. For what? For what? What did I destroy? No, I did not. You lying on my mom. You just slide, bro. You just slide over in there. Open this door. What? Open the door.
You gotta put over there.
You don't have a right to touch me. You're like, oh, I did something wrong. No. Touch me though.
Go ahead, go.
How long is this session?
Okay, put that down.
Excuse me? Is that ready on this?
I just wanted to know.
No. Yeah, we're taking the air filter.
And then she'd be like, what happened? What did I do?
Oh, nobody's home right now.
But I didn't do anything. I just asked. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
I'm saying, and that's
Not too much on everyone. You know, even though I messed up his identity personally, you know, he's proven himself. Not too much on him.
I'm still Philip, but it's just displaying this
They love ourselves some big you come against him if you want to.
On this episode of Spilling Tea with Kiki.
Did you actually work for ICE?
No, not at all. Kind of, can you make it the dialogue rather than open-ended submission? You know, it's supposed to be a dialogue.
Wow, there's a comment in the section. Whew, I guess y'all must have missed this one. Let me get myself together. The real issue is that too many black people don't truly understand or respect culture. People build lasting bonds through shared morals and values, not just skin color. I saw that, First Lady.
I better tell her black people.